You can start in any comfortable position, whether that's seated on the floor, seated in a chair, or even in bed, which is where sometimes I really like to find my practice. And this practice is going to be accessible in any of those spaces or in any other space that you're in. And if you've been sitting in a particular way, maybe you switch out the legs or just kind of give the seat a little wiggle, maybe even roll the shoulders up and away from the ears. And there's never any requirement to close your eyes. But as we begin to ground, it's nice to focus the gaze point on just one spot. And so maybe you find someplace on the floor, a couple feet in front of you, or maybe someplace that's eye level to begin to ground. And as the gaze begins to find its grounding, allow that gaze to soften and begin to notice the breath. Maybe you're just noticing that the body feels a certain way. Sometimes when we come to a still place, it can get or feel a little tense. And so maybe just recognizing some of the natural sensations which are arising. Noticing if your breath is fast or slow, light or heavy. If it's mostly flowing in the upper body, in the lower body, or maybe it's not flowing much at all. There's no need to change or shift or fix anything about the breath. We're just noticing, and we call this a natural breath. The natural breath is going to be different based off of the moment, what's happening, the time of day, the activity. And then as you begin to notice your breath, maybe finding one or two words to really define for yourself in this moment what you're noticing. And then when you're ready, you're going to begin to shift that breath into the belly. And with the inhale, the belly will fill. And with the exhale, the belly releases. Inhale, belly fills. And exhale, belly releases. And maybe your breath is moving at a slightly different pace. That's perfectly awesome. But just begin to direct the inhales and the movement into the belly. Doesn't matter how dynamic that movement in the belly is. And we call this a diaphragmatic breath, even though we're always using our diaphragm to breathe, that we're beginning to bring a mindfulness and an intentional awareness into the space of that diaphragm and the function of that diaphragm. And this will tell the nervous system and the body that it is in a synchronous and harmonious space, and that it might be an okay time to begin to relax on a somatic level, begin to release, and begin to connect. And as you continue to explore this belly breath, just noticing the sensations along the abdomen, the rib cage. Notice if there's any pain or discomfort. And rather than beginning to ignore things, for this moment, we're going to begin to notice things. So as you begin to find a sort of rapport for this belly breath. On your next inhale, you're going to draw that into the belly and imagine that the pelvic floor also expands towards the floor. And with the exhale, the pelvic floor releases and the belly will release. Inhale, pelvic floor, belly expands. And exhale to release. And as you expand your awareness into the pelvic floor, you might notice that there's not much movement there, or that you can't really access that space. There might also be a holding there at the pelvic floor. And you might have to remind yourself each breath to be aware of that pelvic space. And that's part of the practice as well. But as we begin to synchronize even the pelvic floor, we can find further connection into our bodies and invite the nervous system to heal, release pain, stress. So maybe you maintain this breath and you bring the hands to the heart center in what we call Anjali Mudra or prayer mudra. And as you connect the palms, maybe the eyes close, they don't have to. Maybe you're still gazing on that floor point or at the fingertips. And as you stay with that belly breath and that pelvic floor breath, begin here to set any intention for your practice today. If you had one thing you would like to welcome in for your weekend or for this moment, what would that be? And begin to send that into the breath. The breath becomes the vehicle of your energy and then the way that we can converse with the nervous system and with the body. Sensing that intention infusing itself into that breath, into the bloodstream, and into the organs. Every inch becomes radiant with intentional presence. Beginning to trust all that you are here, all that you're experiencing, and all that you can do to meet yourself with support and strength and wisdom. Taking one more breath together to seal that intention. Maybe you pause at the top and soften the shoulders. Take an open mouth exhale. Releasing the hands and bringing the right ear to the right shoulder. Think about leaning the head slightly back into the space behind you, so the head isn't necessarily heavy over the shoulders. There's a lightness there as it begins to stack. And as the left side neck begins to lift up towards the sky. You have the option to stay right here in your side neck stretch, or maybe the left fingertips come around to the opposite hip or to the sacrum behind you, further lengthening through that left side and left chest. And so a lot of us with hydrocephalus and other neurological conditions have a lot of upper body tension. So I like to start my day in my practice with a little bit of release here, because sometimes the tension can be so much that you just can't focus on anything else. And so the first thing when that is the case is to give it some attention and give it some space. You're going to keep that left hand where it is. Use the right hand to gently guide the head back through center. And then go ahead and release the left arm. And bring the left ear to the left shoulder. Staying broad in the chest. Long along that right side. if you have hydrocephalus and you also have your shunt, then you also may have a lot of tension just from the scar tissue and from the relationship of the fiber in the neck to the shunt and the tube. And so it's really nice just to bring a little bit of movement and even a little bit of length and stretch into those spaces, especially gently when there's a lot of tension, knotting, and holding. Option to bring this time the right arm around to the left hip or to the sacrum. Again, just thinking about the length along that right shoulder. Notice if you're clenching in the jaw or if your eyebrows are furrowed. Maybe you release the eyebrows a few times or wiggle the jaw. And then you're going to use that left hand to guide the head back through center. Release the right hand. And then we did this on our Thursday class. I like to call these lateral neck release. And what this does is it helps to release some of the tension along the lateral neckline, especially when we're looking over our shoulder. This is also really good for carpal tunnel and works with the meridian that goes along the side of the neck and down through the hand and thumb. So you're going to start with the right thumb and the left fingertips. You're going to take that right thumb and you're going to rotate it in any direction. And then you're also going to reverse that direction. This lateral neck release is also a part of a migraine YouTube video that I have. So if you do happen to like these exercises, they're also on YouTube under a migraine video. And then you're going to release the thumb and you're going to take those left fingertips and you're going to massage the outer edge of the right ear. Maybe you're just noticing that you've never done this before, or maybe you're noticing too that there's something to be noticed here, lots to be noticed. You might also notice that there's heat beginning to be released through the right side. And then go ahead and come back down to the right thumb, and you're going to one more time rotate that right thumb. And reverse directions. And then release. And then I always forget to do this every time. But initially we would look over the right shoulder, kind of just notice any sensations, tightness, and also how far our range is. And then after we do the exercise, we would just kind of check in and see if there's anything that's shifted. So we're going to do that when we do it on the left side. So go ahead and look over the left shoulder. And then notice here on the left side, just anything at all. Notice what is tight. Where is there any achiness or knotting or pain even? And then find a gaze point that will kind of let you know the end of your range of motion here. And then as you're ready, you're going to bring the head back through center, left thumb, right hand. So right hand is going to rotate the left thumb, and you're going to rotate that left thumb in any direction. And then reversing direction. I do this often as a maintenance for my migraines and find that I get a lot less migraines and tension headaches when I'm able to do these exercises each day. And I also find that if you haven't reversed direction yet, go ahead and reverse direction. That sometimes it releases excess gas and I end up burping a lot. I don't know if that's your experience as well. I'll say it. I burp a lot during this one. And then go ahead and release that thumb and begin to massage the outer. You might find that the body releases in really interesting ways. As you massage that outer left ear, taking note of what there is here, sensationally, maybe even in the mind, thoughts, emotions. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? Maybe you are enjoying it. Go ahead and release the ear and come back down to the left thumb and reverse direction. And switch one more time. And then go ahead and release. And then we're going to take a look over that left shoulder. And for me, I actually have like pretty significant amount of degrees of change. So maybe you also experienced a shift. All right, so go ahead and switch out the legs. Bring the opposite leg in front. And we're going to do one more thing for the upper body, and it's a mudra, hand position. So you're going to take the thumb, pointer, middle finger to touch. So these first three fingers are going to touch. And then the ring finger is going to come down into the palm, and the pinky is going to stick out. So first two fingers and thumb touch. Ring finger dives down to the center of the palm, and then the pinky remains out. And this mudra is a mudra that's good for releasing tension in the head and upper neck. And I actually use this when I have migraine triggers. And even if I'm in the car, I'll be like one hand on a mudra and one hand on the wheel and breathe through my migraine and be able to get myself home before it blows up into a full migraine. And so I don't recommend getting a migraine while driving, but I do recommend trying out this mudra and maybe just breathing into the hand position. And if you've never done this hand position before, it is a little bit of an interesting one. So you don't worry about really holding and maintaining the posture. You want the hands to be soft. If they want to bounce away, that's fine. And you might also notice that as we stay here in this mudra, that the hand kind of softens into the posture. And then we're going to come back to that pelvic floor and belly breath. Tap back into the body. Notice anything at all has changed. And then invite your intention back into the space. Again, tapping back into this sense of trust for what you're noticing, all that's in the body, and then all that you're doing to meet the body and your experience. Taking just 3 more breaths here. Inhaling into the nose and belly. Exhaling to release. One more time. Beginning to release your mudra. Releasing the legs. And maybe you just sway them from side to side. And then from here, if it feels okay for you to come down onto your back, we're going to come and do a couple of floor postures leading into our meditation. If for any reason, being on the floor does not feel good, or it makes you feel dizzy, you're going to stay in an upright version, and I will guide you through that in a moment. Or also let me know if you need any other version as well. So I'm going to come down onto the back, feet planted, and hands down by the sides. If you do have a yoga mat, maybe you're grabbing the outer edges of the yoga mat and pulling as if you're going to stretch the mat in half. If you don't, maybe you're pressing the hands against the floor. Oh, this is my cat Boba. So sometimes just being right here can be a really good place for the head and neck to just ground for a moment. Think about tucking the chin slightly towards the chest and inviting the neck and the back of the head to find a light stretch as the chin tucks and the back of the neck tracks. And then from here, you're going to think about pressing the low back and the spine down into the floor so that the spine is completely flush to the floor as much as you can. From here, you have the option to stay right where you are. There's plenty going on. If you'd like, you can begin to lift the hips up towards the sky for a bridge pose, lifting the hips only if there's not a lot of weight in the back of the head. So if the weight is kind of like moving this way, come down a little bit. Think about shifting the weight towards the feet and really pressing the weight into the feet and lifting from the hips and the thighs up. Oh my goodness. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Wherever you are, you're broadening the chest and you're grounding into the feet. Maybe you're noticing all kinds of different sensations. Again, if it's heavy in the back of the neck, come down. If it just feels like a stretch, stay with it for a few more breaths. Softening the shoulders, press the shoulder heads into the floor and allow the shoulder blades to gently squeeze. Taking one more breath, a long one. And with your exhale, you're going to slowly lower the hips down, wiggle the knees side to side. And then from here, hug the right knee in towards the chest. And then you're going to reach the hands around the belly of the hamstring and lengthen the legs up towards the sky. And you're just kind of noticing what is really tight about the hamstrings, the calf. Soften the shoulders and use the tension between the hands and the leg to ground. Taking one more breath. And with your exhale, you're slowly going to lower the the right foot. And then when you're ready, you're going to guide the left knee in towards the chest, opposite leg. And then you have the option to stay right here. There's plenty going on. Maybe you lengthen this leg up towards the sky, hands come around the belly of the hamstring. If this feels really tight and you do have a prop at home that's kind of like a strap or a resistance band, you can also bring an extra strap or even a towel around the leg for a little bit of extra length so that you don't have to reach so far, especially if the shoulders want to lift. And then again, we're thinking about tucking the chin slightly towards the chest, keep the neck long for that stretch. And then the cat leaves. And then the exhale, lower the left foot. And then sway the knee side to side. Lower just the right leg long down the mat. We're going to start with the left knee this time. Keep the chin slightly tucked for that long neck. That'll help. And then you're going to open the left arm wide to a T and guide with the right hand the left leg across for a twist any amount. And maybe you're only twisting like this. That's awesome. Maybe the knee comes all the way down to the floor. That's great too. Anything is good. You're just noticing what sensations arise out of the spine, the breath, the mind. Taking 2 more breaths in this twist. Can you still sense into the pelvic floor? Maybe. It's hard to in this twist. Inhale to guide the knees through center. And then lower that left leg, guide the right knee in towards the chest. Give it a squeeze. From here, opening the left, or rather the right arm wide to a T and guiding that right leg across the body for your twist on this side. And noticing just in what ways this twist may be different. And also noticing just in what ways you can shift the breath, the body, or even your mindset. Maybe it comes back to that intention that you set at the beginning of the class, and that helps you root into this space too. Inhale here. And exhale. Inhale. Begin to guide both knees towards the center. And then allow the feet to come back down to the floor. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And exhale. You have the option to keep the knees bent and the feet planted and the hands on the body for your meditation. If you prefer to be in an upright position, or if you prefer to have the legs long and that doesn't feel like a pull for the low back, you can have long legs. Find any position that begins to reconnect you back to that breath and to this space of stillness. And again, an invitation to just notice anything that's occurring in the body, in the mind. Maybe there's emotions or memories that are arising. Maybe your mind is just thinking about something else and you've been working the whole time to focus it. And that's okay too. That's part of the practice. We call that Pratyagara, withdrawal of the senses or withdrawal of distractions. As you begin to sense back into your breath and your energy, once again, coming into this slow and steady inhale through the nose, and slow and steady exhale through the nose. Begin to sense the movement of the body and that breath. As you inhale, there's this downward moving, grounding breath that fills the belly. As you exhale, there's an upward moving, releasing out breath. Inhale, downward moving, receiving energy. Exhale, upward moving, releasing breath. As you sense into the movement of that breath, allow the sounds around you to soften and the details around you to soften. Again, noticing how the body meets the surface it's grounded on, and how the surface meets the body. Notice the sensations within the jaw, ears, eyes, and forehead, scalp, back of the neck and shoulders. Open to the relaxed heaviness of the arms and hands. The gentle flow of the torso with each breath. The sensations within the hips, legs, feet, toes. The sensation of the entire body. Without thinking, just being within the sensations of the body. The entire body. Deep breath in through the nose. Soft exhale through the nose. As you lean into sensation, somewhere deep inside is that connection to that vital body. Where there's sensation, there is vitality and life. And within this awareness of that vitality in all of its movement is this connection to inner resource. Inner resource being that connection to that vitality and vital body. Just as you were aware without thinking of the body, begin to bring yourself into the sensing of this inner resource within you. Allow your inner resource to arise as this felt sense. Sensing feelings that you associate with being secure and at ease, grounded, and a felt sense of well-being. The wonderful thing about inner resource is that only you can begin to define it. Notice in your body where and how you feel sensations of well-being and connectedness. Notice the words and the languaging. Take your time as you breathe into the experience of your inner resource of ease and well-being. The words that describe what and how you're feeling. Allow the entire body to begin to experience and lean into this inner resource of ease, well-being, and connection. Affirm to yourself that you can return to this place of inner resource, of well-being and connection at any time. Take your time as you breathe into and surround yourself with the sensation of well-being and the connection to your inner resource. Notice it move with the breath. Notice it ground into the body. And when it begins to feel right, welcome it into the whole body until you embody this inner resource. See it as light emanating through the breath and from every pore of the body. Notice too how this inner resource manifests, how it looks, the textures, and the sensations. Deep breath in through the nose. Deep exhale through the nose. If the eyes are closed, when it feels right, allow the eyes to open and close a few times while also maintaining this connection and felt sense of inner resource. And allow the body to stretch and move with intentional resource, with connection, recognizing that this inner resource is not a separate entity from ourselves, but rather a pathway we create for ourselves to reconnect to ourselves. Affirm to yourself that you can return to this inner resource at any moment, any time, and any space. Take a soft inhale through the nose. Soft exhale through the nose. Whether the eyes stay closed or open, beginning to return yourself to this space and to this room. If you're on the earth, beginning to rise to a comfortable seat, or staying right as you are if that feels right. And then we're going to bring the hands to the heart center in Anjali Mudra. And we're going to close our practice today with 3 rounds of breath together. And the exhales will have the option to be a humming exhale. And research has shown, but I have also personally found that in moments where the head has excess pressure and in moments of like severe migraine and severe pain and nausea, um, that humming or vocalizing, it doesn't even matter what you're singing. You could be singing rock, screamo, rap, whatever. But as long as you're making a sound, there's a pathway to release and kind of break up some of that pain experience. And so we're going to close our practice with an optional humming exhale. And what that's going to look like, I'll demo it first. So what that will look like is we're going to take a deep inhale. And then when we exhale, we're just going to hum into the back of our throat. Almost like a yummy sound. If you want to like hum a whole note, that's fine. If you just want it to be kind of like an audible sigh, that's fine as well. If you prefer a silent exhale, you're welcome. So take a deep breath in for audible exhale 3 times. One more time. Thank you so much for sharing your afternoon and your practice. The light within me honors and recognizes the light within you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.